all the information coming back to you.
Okay. Paul, the first question we have for you tonight is, what is the purpose of the federal government?
The federal government has few but delineated powers, which include mainly the defense and foreign policy of our country to protect us from invasion from within and without, interstate commerce, and diplomacy. That's about it. Many of the things that the federal government's doing now is way out of whack with what the Constitution outlined. In other words, most of the rights should come at the state and local level. Long time ago, we lost that way of doing things.
How do you think we can bring back jobs to the 16th district?
I believe that one of the things we've got to do to bring jobs back to 16th district, and it probably won't be until we get a new class of conservatives down there, taking back the House and Senate, and I do believe that'll happen. But very quickly, and it's detailed in more detail on my website, electpaulschiffer2010.com, we need to drastically lower taxes. We need to keep the Bush tax cuts permanently, but that's not enough. We've got to move and look at a fair tax, which is a national sales tax, something that doesn't hurt the poor, though. And we also need to get rid of these government regulations. I believe we're not going to create new jobs any further. We're going to keep down in this economic spiral, downhill, downslope, until we end the Obama administration's war on free enterprise and capitalism. Because in general, this administration, you're aware of the fact that they're at war with our fundamental values, at war with free enterprise. We need to revive 100% capitalism, free enterprise, protect the small business, the large businesses. And another thing we need to do that both parties are guilty of, and there may be some disagreement in this room on this, but these trade deals that we signed in the 1990s, GATT, NAFTA, and CAFTA most recently, it's killing our economy. And that's a bipartisan issue. That's an American issue. And for those of you that say, well, does that mean we implement tariffs? There's nothing wrong with a small amount of tariffs. Did you know that the first bill before the U.S. Congress was in 1789? It was called the Tariff Protection Act. Now, I'm not advocating full-blown protectionism, but what I am advocating is we quit sending billions of dollars of our money over to Red China, an avowed enemy, and we need to end these free trade policies. It's basically not free or fair at all. We're having our trade policy dictated to us by the WTO.
Is there a point at which you would be supportive of a VAT or other national sales tax? If so, what conditions have to be in place?
I do agree with a sales tax, but not in conjunction with the taxes we have now. I heard that there's people in the Obama administration that want to, on top of the tax burden we have now, implement on us, give us that extra burden of a VAT tax and sales tax on top of it. I'd say no way. We need to lower drastically the taxes now, end the estate tax, the death tax, end corporate taxation, and before we even think about implementing a sales tax, the system we have presently has to be nullified. We can't have both.
Okay. Since Congress pushed healthcare through, several states have filed suit in their respective courts to remove the funding or deem it unconstitutional in their representative states. Are you in favor of either of these tactics? Would you be supportive of a repeal at a U.S. congressional level?
Yes, I'm fully in response to that. I agree that the Obamacare needs to be repealed. I believe it's socialized medicine. Back in the 1990s, I fought against Hillary Care for a group called the Better Government Bureau based out of Stark County. I think that Obamacare is the federal government's largest and worst power grab in U.S. history, and it's basically taken control of one of the most private parts of our lives, health care. And I'm completely opposed to it, and I support any state's efforts, according to the State Sovereignty Movement, the 10th Amendment Act, to eradicate Obamacare.
Okay, at this point, those are the 4 questions I plan on asking all the candidates. Yeah. If it's all right, I'd like to open it to the floor.
Okay, go ahead.
They have 9 minutes.
Okay.
My first question is, I sympathize with a lot of things, and I agree with a lot of the things that you stand for, and I would imagine the other candidates have similar feelings. I mean, they're all conservatives to a certain extent. What I'm concerned about is my main goal would be to beat John Joe Cherry. And if you do that, you're going to need a machine, you're going to need the backing of the Republican Party. Are you going to be able to heal this rift? I mean, you said it yourself, they're treating you like an unknown. If you win the primary, are you going to be able to put it together? So, I mean, we need to defeat John Joe Cherry, and it's going to take a unified effort to do that. Are you going to be able to do that?
I fully believe I can do that. I wouldn't have jumped in this race if I didn't think so. Because of my experience.
The Republican Party, you're going to need their backing.
Well, I think I'm going to get their backing, if not the state, at least the national, and some conservative groups around the country. I've already been talking to a lot of conservative groups who will help me around the country.
You say you're going to, if you win the primary, you can unify it and you can do that.
Oh yeah, I believe I can.
One more quick question, because we have an example right in front of us.
Right.
You said the Pentagon called you this morning. What did you tell them?
My campaign manager answered that call. She basically wanted to know what their complaint was, and they said, and we did what they requested only because there's only a week left in the election. We didn't want to fight. I think basically, you know, their complaint was somebody complained that we were using.
The candidate I'm looking for would have told the Pentagon or Nancy Pelosi or everybody else that called to shove it. Because you were a U.S. Marine.
Right.
Well, I kept it off. They wanted me to take it off the sign and everything, so we revamped everything, and it still says USMC vet. Why I brought that issue up is just to explain the pettiness and the craziness that's been directed at my campaign. Okay, that's what. And I'm sickened by these policies of people who are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yet if they see I don't have an I dotted or a T crossed, they go ballistic. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
So please tell us what you know about the nonsense that the Republican Party is pulling in the states with the DeWines.
I really couldn't address that. All I know is statewide. I do understand that the Republican Party is up to the same tricks they've been in this race. Basically what they're doing is ignoring other candidates in the race and acting like there's only one candidate in the race. Now, I don't know the specifics about what's happening with DeWine, except that I know that there's a lot of people in the Tea Party movement that are upset with it and conveyed to me it's the same type of shenanigans statewide. I understand this is happening statewide. Okay. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
How would you feel about repeal of the 1990 Clean Air Act?
Oh, I'd be all for that. That's one of the, I think that going beyond cap and trade, which is a major problem, is going to decimate our economy. Look at what it's doing to the European Union. The Clean Air Act was one of the most invasive, intrusive, unconstitutional acts ever put out there. I think that the EPA, somebody needs to hold them accountable, basically remove them from the federal level. If there's going to have any EPA presence, bring it down to the state and local level. Now look, I'm for conservation, I'm for clean air. And you've got to be an idiot not to be for clean air. The problem of the matter is the EPA, and I know this because of my work with anti-government anti-regulators in the 90s in D.C. The EPA has destroyed thousands upon thousands of businesses across the country. They're waging war with people out west. They need to be dealt with. I believe that the original contract with America, remember that, unfortunately, they didn't implement it, where Newt Gingrich and everybody said we need to get rid of the Department of Labor, the EPA, and everything and bring it to the state level. I'm in full agreement with that. They didn't accomplish their mission back in '94, as you know, because they caved in to Bill Clinton. I think we've got a new breed, though, of congressmen, of men and women running for Congress out there now, though, who are going to stay the course, and they mean business. And I'm going to be one of those. Go ahead, sir.